Okay, sorry, I got cut off in the middle of number 4. We had found the axis of symmetry and the vertex, I believe. So I plugged in 2 more points. I plugged in x is 1 and x is 2, and I found the points 1, -2, and 2, -8. And I graphed those, and then I graphed their mirror images, and that gave me my graph. And here's my one solution right here. So now we're going to start with number 5. And number 5 is real quick. A is 1, B is 2, and C is -6. Axis of symmetry is -2 over 2 times -6. I'm sorry, 2 times 1. Duh. -2 over 2 times 1, which is -2 over 2, which is -1. There's your axis of symmetry. When I plug -1 into my equation, I get this equation right here. And when I simplify that, I get -7. So there's your vertex. -1, -7. Then I wanted to find my x or my y-intercept, so I made x 0. When you make x 0, you get -6 for your y-intercept, which is also your c value. 0, -6 is your y-intercept. Now, this is going to open up, so I want to point up in here where it's going to touch my y-axis. So I'm going to try x equals 2 and see what happens. So y equals 2 squared plus 2 times 2 minus 6. 2 squared is 4. 2 times 2 is 4 minus 6. I have 8 positives, 6 negatives. That's 2 negatives. 2 comma 2 is one of my points. Dang. Let's try x equals 1. Let's get a point on this line right here. X equals 1. Y equals 1 squared plus 2 times 1 minus 6. Y equals 1 squared is 1. 2 times 1 is 2 minus 6. I have 3 positives and 6 negatives. Combined, I have 3 negatives left over, 1 comma -3. That's enough to give me my shape. Let's do mirror images of this point and this point and this point. My parabola is opening up. It's going to touch the x-axis 2 times. I don't really know for sure what my x-intercepts are because it's not really clear. This one is a little more than 1, and this one is a little bit less than 3. So I couldn't really tell you exactly what they are, but I can see them, and I see my parabola here. So we graphed it nicely. Not the best way to find the x-intercepts for this particular function. Last one. Okay, it's in standard form. Now, I made a suggestion. When you see -x², let's put a 1 here. Just to remind you that that's 1 -x². This is in standard form. A is -1, B is 4, and C is -1. X equals negative B over 2A. -4 over -2 is +2. X equals 2 is your axis of symmetry. We're going to graph our axis of symmetry. X equals positive 2. I want my vertex, so I take this value for X, I plug it in to find my vertex. Be careful, Y equals -1 times 2, square it, plus 4 times 2 minus 1. I have to do my exponents first. 2 squared is 4. Now I can multiply that times -1. 4 times 2 is 8 minus 1. -1 times 4 is -4 plus 8 minus 1. Put all my negatives together. I have 5 negatives and 8 positives. I have more positives than negatives. I have 3 extra positives left. So my vertex is 2, 3. 2, 1, 2, 3. There's my vertex. To find my y-intercept, I make x equal to 0. So I'm going to take my same equation and make x equal to 0. And we're going to get y equals -1 times 0 squared plus 4 times 0 minus 1. Again, isn't this 0? And this is 0. So when x is 0, y is -1. 0, -1 is my y-intercept. And, oh yeah, that's right. This is also my c value. My c value is -1, isn't it? See, there. There's my c value, -1, and that's my y-intercept. Leading coefficient is negative. It's going to open down. So this is going to be the maximum point. The vertex is the maximum point. I got a good idea what's going on here. I could make x 1 or I could make x -1. Let's just do both. Let's make x 1. So y equals -1 times 1 squared plus 4 times 1 minus 1. So this would be exponents first. 1 squared is 1. And I'm going to multiply that by my -1 in front. 4 times 1 is 4 minus 1. -1 times 1 is -1 plus 4 minus 1. I have 2 negatives, 4 positives, and that gives me 2 positives left over, 1, 2. So 1, 2 is another point. That's actually probably enough. So I'm going to reflect this, and I'm going to reflect this. I see my vertex. I see my axis of symmetry. This is my vertex. This is my axis of symmetry. This is my y-intercept. And my roots, again, it's not real clear what they are. I can see them, but I don't know their exact value. They're not a nice even number. But we did graph it. We are good. Thank you for watching.